Hi, my name is Neelam Singh. I'm a registered dietitian, and today I will be presenting on the topic of heart-healthy fiber and the importance of incorporating whole grain into one's diet. So this presentation will cover important information on fiber and its heart health benefits, including the different types of fiber, dietary guidelines for whole grains, and distinction between whole grain, refined grain, and enriched grain. And the session will also discuss recommendation for daily fiber intake, the use of fiber supplements, and how to read and understand food labels. So let's start with what is fiber. So dietary fiber, it's a type of carbohydrate, also known as roughage or bulk, because body doesn't break down into energy like it does with other carbohydrates. It's also be called as indigestible part of the plant. Yet our body still needs it to function properly and optimally. And fiber is present only in plant food. So there is no fiber in animal products such as milk, egg, meats, poultry, and fish. Most of the fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains are rich in fiber, but it's mostly concentrated in the skin, seeds, and membranes. This means an apple with the skin has more fiber than a peeled one. Whole grains such as brown rice, brown bread have more fiber than white rice, white bread, etc. So there are two types of fiber. Soluble fiber, which absorbs the water in your food and becomes a gel-like substance like a sponge that slows down the digestion and limits how much is absorbed in your intestine, helping to reduce the cholesterol. So it helps in reducing LDL cholesterol. It may also regulate blood sugar and even lower your chances of developing type 2 diabetes. Uh, this type of fiber, like soluble fiber, it's more easily fermented by your gut bacteria. So it also acts like a prebiotic. So this is also great for gut health. And you can find soluble fiber mainly inside the softer parts of food, like beans and peas, fruits like apples, oranges, grapefruits, vegetables like squash, sweet potatoes, cabbage, or grains or whole grains or grains like oatmeal, oat bran. And it's also present in seeds like flax seeds, chia seeds. And another type of fiber is called insoluble fiber that does not absorb water. It adds bulk to your stool. So it helps to move food through your digestive system quickly and can relieve constipation. So it promotes gut health as it also has a prebiotic benefits and helps to clean you out, like keeping your bowel regular. And insoluble fiber are mostly present in tougher parts of food, like the skins of fruits and veggies, leafy greens like turnips, collards, and the outer layer of beans and grains like wheat. So these are the example of foods high in fiber. Legumes like lentil, beans, grains, legumes like lentil, beans, grains like oatmeal, barley, whole wheat are all good sources of fiber. Other fiber-rich foods like fruits like orange, apple, pear, vegetables, seeds, all are very good sources of fiber. You can see it's written the total number of fiber present in particular food, and also the soluble fiber amount in these foods. So it's important to include a variety of these foods in your diet to ensure you are getting enough fiber. So these are some of the recommendations from from the USDA. Like my plate is developed by USDA, which is which is also a dietary guidelines for Americans. So when making choice in grain group, my plate encourages us to make quarter of your plate quarter of your grains, quarter of your plate grains, and make at least half of your grain whole. So I'll repeat one more time. My plate encourages us to make quarter of your plate grains, as you see here, and make at least half of your grain whole grain. And the 2020 dietary guidelines recommend including grains approximately between 6 to 8 ounce for most adults. So you will see this is table taken from my plate website, which shows like how many grams of or how many ounce equivalent we should include grains in our diet for women and men. So it comes down to approximately 6 to 8 ounce, and you can meet the daily requirement of whole grains by eating like 3 or more ounce equivalent of breads, rolls, cereals, or other grain foods made with 100% whole grains. Why I said 3 ounce, because the dietary guidelines is between 6 to 8 ounce equivalent, and half of the grain should be whole grains. So half of 6 is 3 or half of 8 is 4. So you can meet the requirement of whole grain by eating 3 to 4 ounce equivalent, 3 to 4 ounce equivalent whole grains. So also like a slice of, like, how much is 1 ounce is like a slice of bread or a serving of breakfast cereal usually weighs about an ounce. And you can also look at your plate, like the my plate at each meal, and make sure you have included some sources of whole grain, include whole grains at each meal. Even a little bite helps. While 3 or more serving each day will optimize your health benefits, though the scientists and health experts agreed that every bite of whole grain you eat contribute to your health, even small amounts can start you on the road to better health. So look for the ways to get a little here or a little there. So while it's healthier to eat food made totally with whole grains, you may want to change over gradually. To start, you can also get the whole grain you need from food made with a mix of whole grain and refined grain. This means you have a lot of delicious choices that match your taste preference, and after a while, as your taste buds grow to love the fuller, nuttier taste of whole grains, some of your old favorite may seem surprisingly bland. So what is, you may have heard about a lot about whole grain. So what is whole grain, refined grain, or enriched grain? So here is a picture. Whole grain have 3 parts, including bran on the outside, which is where the fiber is. And then there is an endosperm inside, which is where the carbohydrate or energy is. And here you can see the wheat germ very inside. And this is where you can find healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals. So with the whole grain, you get all the 3 parts. Bran, endosperm, and germ. So this is a whole grain bread where you get all 3 parts. And this is a refined grain. This is white bread, and we'll discuss more about this. So refined grain is the term used to refer to grains that are not whole because they are missing one or more of their 3 key nutrient parts that we just saw, that either bran, germ, or endosperm. So white bread, white flour, white rice are refined grains. For instance, like, because both have had their bran and germ removed, leaving only the endosperm. So refining a grain removes about a quarter of the protein in a grain, greatly reduces most of the key nutrients, leaving the grain a mere shadow of original self. So you can see the difference. The refined grain has like all the, out of 3 key nutrient, it has only endosperm, which is mostly a source of carbohydrate. And all wheat has all 3 key nutrients, bran, germ, and endosperm. So with whole grain, we are getting fiber, we are getting vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats. So so there is a story behind the refining of the grain. Like, since the late 1800s, when new milling technology allowed the bran and germ to be easily and cheaply separated from the endosperm, most of the grains around the world have been eaten as refined grains. So this quickly led to disastrous or widespread nutrition problem. Like, it is like many deficiency diseases like pellagra, beriberi. You may have not heard about these diseases nowadays, but these are the diseases because of the deficiency of some of the vitamin B, like vitamin B3 niacin or vitamin B1 thiamine. So that actually affect cardiovascular system, central nervous system. That can, the deficiency in extreme can cause like a lot of problem with the digestion as well as nervous system. So in response, many government recommended or required that refined grains be enriched. Enrichment only adds back a small handful of the many missing nutrient and does so in proportion different than they originally existed. For example, when rice is refined, it loses vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So enriched white rice has these vitamins and minerals, some of these vitamins and minerals added back. And fiber isn't the one that's replaced in enriched grains. So most of the enriched grain, they do not contain any kind of fiber. So it's usually add back most of the B vitamins, folic acid, like or iron. So certain B, I mean, in previous slide, I have told that the deficiency of certain B vitamins leads to many kind of diseases like pellagra, beriberi, which is not good for heart health. It affect nervous system. It added back folic acids because those are also important for preventing some neural defects in babies. So it's important for the pregnant woman, and also it adds iron, as the deficiency of iron can leads to anemia. So this is a slide or the chart which compares whole wheat flour to refined wheat flour and enriched wheat flour. You can see the vast difference in essential nutrient. So here, the green is whole wheat flour, and the orangish or the reddish is refined, and enriched wheat flour is yellow one. So with the whole wheat flour, we get all the vitamins. We get all the vitamin E, B6, all vitamin B, fiber, iron, potassium. So all green. This is a complete like it has a complete nutrients, 100% of nutrients. But when the grain is refined, the green, so it has like vitamin E 8%, vitamin B6 11%, or magnesium 16%, fiber is 25%. So these are the refined grains. And when some of the refined grains, when they are enriched, it's not with all the nutrients, it's only some of the nutrients. Like it is enriched with thiamine. So instead of 100%, it has like 156% of thiamine. It's enriched with, with riboflavin B2, like which has a, like 299% in excess. Fiber is not added back, and folate is added back. So you can see the enrichment can add certain nutrients, mostly B vitamins or folate, but not the fiber. And the refining of the grains can, I mean, remove lots of nutrition, and whole grains contains 100% of all those nutrients. So, and also it's important to make sure that the grains listed here are not automatically whole grains unless you are sure that all the bran, germ, and endosperm are still there. That said, that the grains in red are virtually always whole in our food supply, like amaranth, buckwheat, millet, oats, quinoa, brown rice, teff, and wild rice. And popcorn, bulgur, cracked wheat, wheat berries are whole grain forms of corn and wheat. So check carefully on the ones in the black to be sure they are whole, such as degerminated cornmeal. It's not a whole. It's not a whole because germ is removed. Rice, brown or colored rice, it's not whole. The brown is because of the color. So just keep in mind, and wheat varieties also include like farro or durum forms such as bulgur, cracked wheat berries that I already told. And grains, mostly red in are mostly are gluten-free also. So whole grain provides lots of health benefits. It provides fiber, vitamins, minerals, other nutrients. It helps control of cholesterol level, weight, blood pressure, and these food also help lower the risk of diabetes, heart disease, and other condition. So how much fiber do you need for good health? So each day you should have at least 25 to 30 grams of fiber. Eating 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber every day can help lower your LDL cholesterol by 5 to 11 points and sometimes more. And be sure to drink plenty of water when you increase your fiber intake. This will help avoid problems with gas or bloating. So, so it's very easy to meet fiber needs if you choose foods that are good sources of fiber at each meal and snack. It's easy to get enough. So to get the fiber enough, you need to include approximately 5 to 6 ounces of whole grain. One feast is about the size of 1 cup or 8 ounce. So try to include at least one serving each meal. Eat 5 or more servings of vegetables and about 4 servings of fruit each day. Eat the skin or peel when possible. Eat beans and peas like pinto beans, split peas at least 3 times a day. Choose whole grain breads. Replace red meat with beans twice or thrice in a week. So before eating, think of healthy eating habits as a blueprint, like my plate it can help prioritize food choices by reminding us to make half of our plate fruits and vegetable and quarter of our plate grains, and half of it should be whole grains. And also by reading nutrition facts label on products, you can compare the fiber content of the foods and work towards achieving those goals. So add fiber to each meal. This is one of the slides where we can see like how we can add fiber to each meal. So oatmeal, it's a great source of fiber and protein, can be topped with berries and nuts. Adding flax seeds and berries to homemade cookies and muffins, or incorporating frozen berries and greens into a smoothie, or adding black beans, avocado, salsa to your egg. It's a great way to incorporate more fiber in breakfast. In lunch, you can use whole wheat flour in your baking. Sprinkle chia or flax seeds on top of your salad. Add black beans, lentils, and corn to your salad, soup, casserole. And when selecting vegetable for your lunch, look for those that are high in soluble fiber, such as broccoli, cabbage, green beans. And for dinner, you can start your dinner with a small side salad. It's like an excellent way to add more veggies. Switching from white pasta to whole wheat or quinoa pasta, or finally, instead of reaching for sugary dessert, consider having a piece of whole fruit instead. And by making these simple changes, like you'll be able to increase your daily fiber intake, improve digestion, and support overall health and wellness. And also to remember to drink plenty of water to help move the fiber through your digestive system. And aim to gradually increase your fiber intake to prevent digestive discomforts. And if unable to meet fiber from food, can choose fiber supplements made with soluble fibers such as psyllium, seed husk, or methyl cellulose to help lower unhealthy cholesterol. So here are some of the examples for fiber supplements. A natural fiber supplement like psyllium, it's a plant seed powder, can also be taken. It contains 70% of soluble fiber, which means it can also help increase feeling of fullness and slows digestion. Methyl cellulose is commonly found in the, on the shelves in products like Citrusil with the smart fiber, which is 100% soluble fiber, and it can be also found in powder or caplet form. It is also sold as thickener and emulsifier in the culinary world. So you can include methyl cellulose as well. And because of the chemical structure, it only dissolves in cold liquids, not hot. So remember that. Another way to reduce is plant stanol and esterol. If you will see there is one supplement called cholesterol. it has plant stanol and sterol. So they can also help lower LDL or bad cholesterol. To the body, sterol and stanols look like cholesterol and prevent the cholesterol you eat in food from being absorbed into the blood. So when you eat food that contains dietary cholesterol, which is mostly found in animal products like meat, egg, and dairy, your intestinal tract absorb that cholesterol and put it into bloodstream. You can see in this example, but plant sterol and plant stanols are chemically similar to dietary cholesterol found in animal products. So when the sterol and stanols travel through your digestive tract, they get in the way of dietary cholesterol, preventing it from being absorbed into the bloodstream. Therefore, the less total cholesterol is absorbed by the body and when plant stanol and sterol are present. And the cholesterol that is not absorbed leaves the body as waste. So with the regular use of plant stanol and sterol, you can also reduce blood cholesterol levels. So here it is important to know, like, fiber is another clue to finding whole grain on the nutrition facts label. So here you can see an example in whole grain. Here in dietary fiber is 3 gram, dietary fiber is 2 gram. So you can choose the one which has more fiber. You can also look for percentage daily value, which means 5% or more is better, and is 5% or less is low in that nutrient, 10% is like moderate in that nutrient, and 20% or more is an excellent source of that nutrient. So if you will see, dietary fiber is 12%, which is like, okay, it's a moderate source of fiber. Also, in a product, it's also important to know to read the ingredient list or choose food with whole grain ingredients, and you should be knowing how to look for whole grain. So in a product, so most of the time whole grain is not listed in nutrition facts label, so you will have to check in the ingredient list. So here in the product, we will be looking to see if it's whole grain by looking at the ingredient list. We always want the first ingredient to say whole, whether it's whole wheat, whole corn, whole oat. And also ingredient are listed in descending order by weight. So the closer an ingredient is to the beginning of the list, the more of that ingredient is in the food. So here are some examples. So is this product whole grain? So it's very important to look at the ingredients to see what you are actually eating. In this case, the first ingredient listed is enriched wheat flour, and whole wheat flour is not listed until the third of the way down the list. So this product is not a whole grain bread. And it has enriched wheat flour. Enriched wheat flour is a refined flour that has had some of the nutrients removed, whereas whole wheat flour contains all parts of the grain, and it's a better source of fiber and nutrition. So and there is another example for whole grain. So what you see, like, which ingredient does this product have the most of it? Whole grain, because it's the first ingredient. You can see it's the first ingredient that is listed. So to ensure that you are purchasing a whole grain, look for the word whole before the name of the grain, whether it is whole wheat or whole grain. And the whole grain should be listed as first ingredient. And if you are not sure whether a bread is whole grain or not, you can also look for the fiber content here. So also some of the time when we see a brown bread, we think that it's a whole grain bread. So color is not an indication for whole grain. Bread can be brown because of molasses or other added ingredients. So read the ingredient list to see if it's whole grain. Looking at just outside of food product or even a name of food product can be deceiving. Things can say wheat or 100% wheat, multigrain, without actually being whole grain. So it's important to look at the ingredient list to know if it says enriched, refined, but it's not a whole grain. So in the packages, food, usually not whole grain products if they are labeled with like 100% wheat, cracked wheats, 7 grain, stone grain, enriched or fortified. The only label that means 100% of the grain used are whole grains. If labels say 100% whole grain, the product contain no refined grain. If it says made with whole grains, may contain little or lot of whole grains. Whole grain, if it says whole grain, it may be as little as 50% of whole grain. Good sources of whole grain may be 50 or 20% of whole grain. Multigrain means a mixture of grain, possibly all or most are refined grains. Made with whole grain, this term doesn't mean much since majority of the product could still be refined. So look at the nutrition facts label or the amount of the fiber listed or the ingredient list to find the real ingredient in any product. So this is one of the ways when you are shopping for a bread, be sure to check the nutrition label to ensure that it contains at least 3 grams of fiber per serving. Or choosing a bread made with whole grains, or the first ingredient should say whole grain or whole wheat. You can also look for whole grain symbol on the package, which indicates that it's in 100% of the grain ingredient is whole grain. And you can also look for bread that contains added fiber such as psyllium, husk, or flax seeds, which can help boost the fiber content. Additionally, you can also choose the bread with minimally added sugar and preservatives that can help make a healthier choice. Sprouted bread, it's a good option also to include as it tends to be more nutritious and lower in sodium. So one of the examples are Ezekiel bread. It's a popular brand of sprouted bread that you may want to consider. Another for cereal, choosing hot, healthy cereals. So to choose fiber-rich cold cereals, aim for 5 grams or more fiber per serving. And for hot cereals, aim for 3 grams or more. Be cautious of packets with added sugar and choose one with less than 8 grams of sugar. And be aware of health claims such as real fruit in yogurt, and instead check the ingredient list and use the percentage daily value as a guide to know like what's exactly in the product. A food with 5% daily value or less per serving is considered low, or while 20% daily value or more is considered high in that particular nutrient. So this is just one of the example to know like which is the whole grain bread. So you may want to think about it. The answer is the B one, where the first ingredient is whole grain. So the recap message or the important point to remember about fiber and whole grain is fiber is only present in plant food. Whole grain contains all 3 parts of the grain, including bran, germ, and sperm, and is a good source of fiber. Replacing refined grains with whole grain can help increase fiber intake. Increasing intake of fruits, vegetable, beans, whole and high fiber cereals can also help boost fiber intake. It's important to increase fiber intake gradually and drink plenty of water to prevent digestive discomfort. And when purchasing bread or other whole grain products, it's important to read the ingredient list to ensure that it's whole grain product. If it's difficult to meet fiber needs through food alone, supplement may be considered. And adequate fiber intake can help prevent many of the health risks such as heart disease or triglycerides or your bad cholesterol. It can also help in reducing the risk for developing diabetes or certain types of cancer. So thank you for attending the session on fiber and whole grain. I hope that you found the information informative and useful for making healthy dietary choices. Thank you.